Kathryn Kimball Mizelle is a federal district court judge in Florida, one of 94 federal district court judges in the United States. She's also the youngest person chosen by former President Trump to a lifetime appointment. She was just 33 years old when confirmed. 33. Judge Mizelle had all of the hallmarks of a Trump judicial nominee. She was a member of the Federalist Society. She clerked for Justice Clarence Thomas, and she worked at Jones Day, a prominent law firm currently representing Donald Trump in his attempts to challenge President Biden's election victory. She also had a controversial judicial confirmation process. It happened in November of 2020, just as the Senate was also pushing through the confirmation of Supreme Court Justice Amy Coney Barrett. Just before Mizelle's hearings, she was rated not qualified by the American Bar Association. That ranking came because she had only been practicing law since 2012 and had never tried a case, civil or criminal, as lead counsel. In her nomination hearings, Senator Dianne Feinstein remarked on just how unusual all of that was.
This is the first time I've read one of these in 26 years that finds somebody not qualified. And I'm puzzled by it. So if you could respond to that, I'd appreciate it.
Senator, I cannot speculate as to why the ABA wrote that particular rating.
In her 26 years on the Judiciary Committee, the senator said this was the first time. Still, Judge Mizelle went on to be confirmed by a Republican majority along a party line vote. She now holds a lifetime position as a federal judge for the Middle District of Florida. And that appointment, that very same judge who was rated not qualified by the American Bar Association, that's the reason the federal mask mandate was lifted on public transit across the country. Judge Mizelle's ruling came on Monday, just 1 week after the CDC had extended the mask mandate until May 3rd to monitor rising COVID cases nationwide. The Justice Department announced Wednesday it will be appealing the ruling after the CDC said the measure was still necessary. The DOJ has not asked the appeals court to block the judge's order, though, meaning passengers will be able to continue traveling maskless while the decision is litigated. You know, this whole situation is showing just how important these federal judges are and how their rulings can impact our daily lives. And Judge Mizelle's story is not unique. Out of the 264 federal judges former President Trump nominated in his 4 years in office, 10 were rated not qualified to sit in that position by the American Bar Association. Yet another reminder that while Trump is no longer in the White House, his legacy lives on through these judges, a legacy of ultra-conservative, underqualified, lifetime appointed judges. Joining me now is Elie Mystal. He is the justice correspondent for The Nation. Elie, we've talked about this before, but let's talk about that Trump legacy on the judiciary. By the time he left his office, Trump had appointed 27% of the active district court judges for a total of 264 judges in just 4 years. How concerned should Americans who believe in the preservation of democracy be with that number?
Yeah, to understand this, to put this in context, if you're concerned about democracy, you have to look at the lower courts as the demilitarized zone between North and South Korea. Because all Trump did was lace the lower courts with landmines waiting to go off and destroy democracy from the inside out. Judge Mizelle is just one example of that strategy, right? You were saying that her confirmation hearings were happening in November. Let's remember what else was happening in November. The election. Mizelle is a lame duck appointee. Trump was able to confirm her after he had lost the election. He confirmed actually 14 lower court justices between him losing the election and him launching a coup. Right, so there are 14 extra landmines out there that Trump was able to push through with the help of Mitch McConnell. And why are these people there? These people are there to stop the Democratic agenda. That's the only reason why they're there. There's no ideological reason for them to make some of these rulings. There are reasons that they don't like the outcome of Democratic policies, right? So when you look at something like the mask mandate, what we see is a nationwide injunction. That means that it stops everybody everywhere, regardless, you're living in Texas, you live in Oregon, doesn't matter. Nationwide injunction affects everybody. And we see that this is because she doesn't like the policy. And we know that because when she cites precedent for overturning the CDC, for a judge supplanting her scientific understanding for the CDC's, what we see is that she doesn't have any precedent. She's citing law reviews. She's basically citing like cocktail conversations that she had with her boy, Clarence Thomas. She doesn't have any actual cases to justify her ruling, because it doesn't matter, because she wants the right outcome and she got it.
Well, it was a 59-page opinion. I suffered through reading it. I know that you did, too. But there's other drama that actually is affiliated with Judge Mizell. Her husband, Chad, served as acting general counsel to the Department of Homeland Security for the Trump administration. Now he works with Jared Kushner in Kushner's new investment fund with the Saudis. Shouldn't there be a limit, Ellie, on the level of ethical conflicts, either real or perceived, that one could possibly achieve?
First of all, I did not know her husband was named Chad. That's just...
I'm imparting knowledge all the time, Ellie. That's a little that I can do.
Thank you so much for that. Yes, this is the ethical concerns are real, and it's part. Look, we're talking about a former Clarence Thomas clerk, right? So we can really say that she learned it by watching him, right? Clarence Thomas, a person who cares nothing about corruption, cares nothing about ethics. Look, we need ethical reform for this for the courts as well, right? It should be clear when these judges have to recuse themselves. They should clearly have to recuse themselves from issues where their family is involved, from issues where their family is working for the administration. Will they? No. Will we have ethical reforms? No. Why? Well, really, here's the thing. You got to ask Joe Manchin why. All right, because the first bill out of the gate from the House after Biden won the election in 2020 was H.R. 1. That was a massive, yes, it had voting rights, but it also had ethical reforms up and down our system, right? It made the president have to release his taxes. It made it illegal for the president to use the office of the presidency to give money to his family, like all this stuff, right? Joe Manchin wouldn't go for it. Kristen Sinema wouldn't go for it. And in fact, when Joe Manchin came back with a pared down voting rights bill that he was willing to support, not willing to support it over the filibuster, but willing to support in principle, what did that have that H.R. 1 didn't have? It had all of the ethics reforms taken out. So at some point, somebody needs to ask Manchin and Sinema why they are opposed to ethics, because ethical reform is also what is needed throughout the Article 1, the Congress, Article 2, the presidency, and Article 3, the judiciary.
Well, Ellie, what we'll do is this. We'll have you on a panel with Manchin and Sinema, and then the four of us can sit there and do that road trip we talked about the other day. So Judge Mizell is part of the Federalist Society, which has been touted as the ring that must be kissed to become a judge, both on state and federal levels. People have asked, do the Democrats have anything that is the equivalent to the Federalist Society?
Nope. Nothing close. And there are a couple of reasons for that. One, the Federal Society was created because Republicans kept getting burnt up by the judges they appointed, right? They kept appointing Republican justices, and they kept not doing what Republicans want, right? Sandra Day O'Connor, David Souter, these kinds of people wouldn't do what Republicans want. So they kind of created the Federal Society to better train their judges, so that by the time they got onto the courts, they knew what they were there for, right? And that's so these judges, people like Mizell, from Mizell all the way up to Neil Gorsuch, with Amy Coney Barrett in between, these people were not born, they were made. And they were made to do the jobs that they are now doing, and be antithetical to democratic self-government, right? Do the Democrats have an answer? No. Part of that is our funding, right? Like the Federal Society is very well funded, whereas Democratic billionaires want to go to the moon or run for president themselves, right? They won't actually put in the work and the funds to fund something like a democratic version of the Federal Society. But the other thing is that the Federal Society gets buy-in from all of the other Republican constituent groups, right? So like the NRA, they don't know anything about judges. They let the Federal Society handle that. The Christian right, they don't know anything about judges. They let the Federal Society handle that, right? All of the Republican groups buy into the Federal Society. Try doing that on the Democratic side, right? Try telling the NAACP, no, you guys don't have a say in judges because this other outside group has it. Try telling Lambda Legal, no, this other outside group is going to have that. Try telling labor, no, this other group is going to work on, right? Our tent is so big, everybody wants to play. It's a little bit like Little League Baseball, right? Like everybody gets a turn at bat. So having one group tell all the rest of the groups, we're going to pick the judges for you, that just ain't the Democratic way. And so there are structural kind of financing reasons for it, but there are also kind of, I think, legitimate intellectual reasons for why we don't farm out our judicial picks to another branch, to a shadow branch of government. Now, the problem is that Republicans also have single issue voters on the Supreme Court. So I've said this before, Katie, I can go to a tabernacle in Utah and find some woman who doesn't think it's right for Trump to have 3 wives, and he's probably a misogynist, but she knows she has to vote for the Supreme Court. And
That's
so
right.
She shows up. Whereas Democrats, you tell me something that you want as a liberal, I will tell you how you need to have the Supreme Court for guns, for climate change, for LGBTQ rights, for voting rights. We need the Supreme Court, but you don't have base Democratic voters know that. And so you don't have base Democratic voters turn themselves in and turn their friends and families in to single issue voters on the Supreme Court. And that is why we fail.
Well, Elie Mystal, I am out of time. We have to come back because I think we need to talk about how the sausage is made, how somebody who could actually not support the Affordable Care Act is able to make this ruling that would destroy things like federal mask mandates. Lots of unanswered questions. My show answers the questions. Thank you, Elie Mystal, for being here today.
Thank you so much, and congratulations on your new show.
Thanks.